everyone. Ryan Garcia is one of those famous people that really perplexes me because of the pure, concentrated bizarreness of his character. Before in the past, I saw him as an actual boxer, where me personally I would think of like his skill and future fights, and objectively he still is. But to say that nowadays a percentage of the news coming out about him is not about like the crazy stuff he's doing would be a blatant lie. I've never really followed him majorly as a boxing fan. Of course, he's always a prominent name, duh. But in terms of drawing a mental mind map for his legacy, it's always remained at me knowing that he'd do more stuff. But if I was a follower of him, like always like to see his fights, supporting him non-stop, then I imagine it must be miserable seeing like him slowly ruin his image over time. As well as his use of drugs, both performance and recreational ones that he does in his personal life. Where at which point, once that fact became like very obvious, it was very hard to like deny like his downward decline and a few signs of him getting better. Now, I found my fun covering videos on him because his character being so insane, but I have to admit that now there's recent stuff coming out about him is way more messed up and chaotic than anything else I could have seen him doing before in the past. For all of you that don't keep up with him, there was a recent event where he went to like his 2 kids that he had with his ex-wife, Andrea Selena. And already, that's off to a bad start, which should give you like some indication of where it's gonna go, especially if you know Garcia's erraticness. Where, due to the divorce back in the beginning of this year, he wasn't allowed to see them outside of like the designated schedule they had agreed on. But of course, with him, if he has like the slightest thought of like doing something, whether him being sober or not, he would just act on it. Now, with these kinds of things, it's never formal at all, because whatever procedures they have agreed on before in the past, impulsive people will always just break it because they feel like they have the chance of seeing their kids no matter what, despite the amount of shit that would get them in court. I can't remember if Garcia's decline happened in the beginning of this year, and I only say that because if his divorce happened right now, like during this time, there would not be a single judge that would approve like him seeing his kids, especially with all the information everyone knows about him. And when you see what he did now, after being denied to see his 2 kids, either because Selena didn't want to, or because it wasn't planned, he went on to break into the house and break all of the shit there. I mean, just in the camera recording she had of the place inside, it looked like an actual robber did this, or just some crackhead in some sort of state. But no, it's our Tommy boy Ryan. And then you have the Instagram stories, both from Garcia and Selena, where it looks like an actual like, Mexican standoff, both recording each other.
This is what happens when you get caught.
Doing what?
Look at her, look at her.
Doing what?
Bro, we got the messages. George said you were a girl that you got bored with.
I had a friend. He's a fucking friend. You guys are gay as fuck. He's gay. No one fucked that fucking guy. So I don't care.
I believe that what he's saying in that clip was that she cheated on him when they were both already divorced. I'm not saying that should make sense, but if you're on something very, very strong enough to cause all of this rage, at least you think of a good reason. In that video, I have to respect him for like never dropping the L, so always sound like a douchebag. Like he's proud of catching her cheating on him, as he put it. As well as pinning the broken baby bottle solely on her. Yeah, I definitely imagine that a guy who trashed an entire place would have the rational thought to not touch the fragile glass object. Okay, but no, honestly, as much as I joke about this, it's messed up when you step back and realize that this is a woman with a kid witnessing an IV bag full of drugs and ego break into the home and break all of their stuff and belongings. This is where you get more of Selena's evidence, showing more like messages and calls from Garcia, just looking psychotic. You have like texts sound like a 14-year-old, you have calls that space between every single minute, and just more unhinged stuff from him with no filter at all. This is the part where, as a fan of him, you can't see this and not lose everything you believed in him before. Cause this is like the clearest sign, like black and white sign, of him losing his mind. If you really wanna scrape the barrel and polish his image, you could say like those messages and tags and what he did and on that day was more like he wasn't sober and was on drugs. Where if he hadn't, he would have been in a good state to communicate and been a good father. But with someone like this, it's impossible to see them as a safe person, even while off drugs. I mean, at this point, Selena mentioned like how he's gonna have to see his kids always being supervised, but even that would be like the best case scenario for him. With all this being public, there's no way it's gonna look good in court at all. I mean, with the messages like he sent to her, he probably won't even be allowed near Selena, even much less his kids. In her Instagram story, it mentions like how if you're a fan or supporter or just want to see him get better, you should try to spread the idea of him getting better, like going to rehab. Which is funny because ironically, if you're a fan of him, you would know like just he said he's gonna start rehab not that long ago, only to get off a few days after for the pure reason of becoming his brother's boxing coach. As hopeless as that sounds, I do believe like him getting help would be the best for him, which is not coming from me being sad, seeing his decline. It's more coming from me being scared for like the people around him, like his friends and family, being hurt by just his erratic actions. Whether or not he does get help, I'm not sure. But if he did, like out of his own pure decision, he would have to realize what he did wrong and recognize where he's gonna go in future if he doesn't stop and get better. But again, the kind of person, the kind of dad that walks into like the kid's home and trashes the entire place is also the same kind of person that can't see how far gone they are. The only thing I could see motivating him to get better would be his boxing career, because at parties, you can take whatever you want, but on fight night, if you've been feeding your body a steady diet of narcotics, brewing the stomach with alcohol, it probably won't lead to your best performance, sadly. But even then, I could see him like having waves of getting better, falling back, and just repeating that over and over. I'm sorry, but after this story and this event, I can't force myself to be positive for him and pray for his comeback.